What's up? It's Marty Intrum, and you are in the Nerd Nest. Well, it's nearly March. In fact, it might be March when this video finally gets on YouTube. But I decided I need to get back to making videos for my channel again. And I'll be starting with my newest edition and my first of the new year of 15-minute game show reviews. In this episode, I'll be talking about another game show that only lasted 13 weeks in the winter of 1988. But it was still novel in its gameplay, and the same can be said for many game shows. It never really got a fair chance. In fact, it's also notable for being replaced by the game show that it replaced, which is probably why it bombed. But it was still an interesting show. Today, we're going to be talking about...
So I said, listen, honey, it's 50-50. You get the Mercedes, but I get the masseuse. It's like my guru says, we're all children of the universe. Please. Anyway, my body's a temple, as you can see. It's what happens when a profoundly deep human being such as I... self-esteem, but on the other hand, I'm no Sigourney Weaver either.
Wouldn't it be nice if everyone had a blackout button? Well, today, Stephen Burt from St. Elsewhere and his contestant partner, Laurie Donnerow, and Annie Bloom from Not Necessarily the News and her contestant partner, Robert Slater, all have blackout buttons right here on Blackout! And now, here is the host of Blackout, Bob Cohen!
Thank you. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Oh, good group. Thank you all. Thanks one and all. Hey, welcome back to Blackout. We're here again and we're ready to go.
A word association / puzzle game show with a twist, Blackout featured teams of a contestant paired with a celebrity as they would try to prevent their opponents from guessing a word by muting it or blacking it out. Blackout premiered on CBS on January 4th, 1988, and ended on April 1st of that year. The show was notable for replacing and then being replaced by $25,000 Pyramid. More on that later. The show was actually the brainchild of game show fan favorite Jay Wolpert, and this was his second series for the I-Network following 9 years earlier. And this was his third series for a TV network following Hitman, which I have already reviewed. Wolpert's other game show production work included The Price is Right from 1972 to 1978, and creating the original Double Dare in 1976, hosted by Alex Trebek, not related to the Nickelodeon version. He also created Rodeo Drive for Lifetime and Wait Till You Have Kids, and his longest-running game show, Shopping Spree, both of which were on the Family Channel, now Disney-owned Freeform. He also served as producer on The New Price is Right in 1994, the 1998 revival of Match Game, and as consultant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire from 2015 to 16. He also served as a screenwriter, most notably for Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean film series. Jay passed away from complications from Alzheimer's in 2022. The host for the series was Bob Goen. Born in Long Beach, California in 1954, Bob stated that his childhood dream was to be a game show host, and with the encouragement of legends such as Bob Barker, Bill Cullen, Bob Eubanks, Tom Kennedy, Jeff Edwards, Wink Martindale, Monty Hall, and several others, Bob ultimately graduated from San Diego State in 1976 with a degree in telecommunications and film. The following year, he got a job at KFOX AM in his native Long Beach, then becoming a DJ at KPRO in Riverside, becoming a director in 1981. He migrated to television, becoming an anchor at ABC affiliate KESQ in Palm Springs. Bob served as a correspondent for ESPN in the 1980s, and in 1986 he got his first game show hosting gig, hosting the series Perfect Match, which ran for 9 months in syndication. He also hosted the Home Shopping Game in 1987, the Hollywood Game on CBS, and Born Lucky on Lifetime in 1992, and That's the Question on the Game Show Network in 2006 and 2007. Bob's greatest success as a game show host came in July of 1989 when he would become the last host of the daytime version of Wheel of Fortune, when the show moved to CBS after 14 and a half years on NBC. It then moved back to the Peacock network in January of 1991 after CBS dropped it for what would be its last 9 months on the air. Bob is still the host of Wheel of Fortune Live, which travels to casinos across the country. He also hosted the live versions of The Price is Right and Family Feud. In 1993, Bob became a substitute anchor on Entertainment Tonight, and in 1996, upon the departure of John Tesh, became the primary nightly anchor alongside Mary Hart, a role he would hold until 2004. Coincidentally, E.T. alum Rob Weller hosted the pilot for Blackout. During this time, Bob was quote-unquote interviewed on Space Ghost Coast to Coast in 1997, and in 2005, played a fairy version of himself alongside Mary Hart on The Fairly Odd Parents. Bob also hosted several beauty pageants during the 1990s and 2000s, such as Miss USA and Miss Universe. He also hosts his own charity golf tournament, the Bob Goen Lexus Invitational, which benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The show's announcer for most of its run was Johnny Gilbert, who is best known as the announcer of Jeopardy, since it returned to TV in 1984. Other shows announced by Johnny Gilbert include the 1980s version of Pyramid, Supermarket Sweep, The $1 Million Chance of a Lifetime, Every Second Counts, Headline Chasers, The Quiz Kids Challenge, and Love Connection. He also subbed as an announcer on Wheel of Fortune and several other game shows. During the final 2 weeks of Blackout, Johnny fell ill, and longtime game show announcer Jay Stewart took over until the show's cancellation. Jay Stewart was best known as the announcer and co-host of the original Let's Make a Deal, and also announced for Sale of the Century and Scrabble, and also announced on the Barry Enright game shows Tic-Tac-Toe, The Joker's Wild, and Bullseye. Blackout was the last show announced by Jay Stewart before his death in 1989. The game was played like this. 2 teams of a contestant and a celebrity competed, with one contestant usually being a returning champion. The champion team would sit at a yellow desk, while the challenger sat at a red desk. The object of the game was to solve word puzzles that consisted of a sentence or short paragraph with 4 blank spaces, usually incorporating a pun or a play on words, which you'll see in a bit. Each blank space represented a word, and the object of the game was for one of the players to guess the word based on clues provided by their partner, then use the words to complete the puzzle, though they would have to place the words into the proper places on their own. Play in the first round began with the red team, the challengers. The celebrity was shown one of the 4 missing words and had 20 seconds to describe it, while the contestant donned a pair of headphones and their seat was moved forward to prevent them from seeing or hearing anything. The clue giver's description was recorded and then played back for the contestant after time expired. Bob would also warn the clue giver not to repeat a key word while giving their description. For example, if the word was television, they could use the word screen as a clue, but not more than once. Both members of the opposing team were able to hear the entire description. The celebrity of that team had control of a plunger called a blackout button, essentially a giant mute button, which they could press to silence or black out portions of the recording as it was played back. The blackout button could be used for a maximum of 7 seconds, plus 1 extra second for every word repeated in the description. If the contestant was correctly able to guess the word, they won $100, but an incorrect response allowed the opposing team to attempt it. The team that guessed the word was then given a chance to solve the puzzle, and successfully doing so scored 1 point. If neither team guessed the word, it was put up on the board and played continued with the next word. Teams alternated describing the 4 words in the puzzle. If the clue giver said the word itself or any form of it, or made it sound similar to the word in description, a buzzer sounded, their turn ended, and the other player was immediately awarded $100 and a free guess at the puzzle. If both teams missed the 4th word, Bob read a description of it as a toss-up, and the first team to buzz in with the answer received the $100 and a guess at the puzzle. If the team that guessed the 4th word failed to solve the puzzle, their opponents were given a chance to solve it. Like I said, the puzzles sometimes use puns or play on words, and here's one of the solutions.
When Georgia the giraffe stepped on the trainer's fingers, he decided to zoo her.
You got it. That's puzzle number 1. Set it as zoo her. Okay. You got the first puzzle.
In the second round, the roles were reversed. The contestants described the words for their celebrity partners and then operated the blackout buttons, and the yellow team played first, with $100 per word still awarded to the contestant. The first team to solve 2 puzzles and score 2 points won the game and advanced to the clue screen bonus round for a chance at $10,000. If the score was tied after 2 puzzles, a sudden death tiebreaker was played using one final word, with the contestants again in control of giving clues and using the blackout button. The team that correctly guessed more words during the first 2 rounds, or the winner of a backstage coin toss if there was a tie, chose to either play the word or pass to their opponent. The contestant giving clues had 10 seconds to describe the word for their partner, and the opposing team had 3 seconds of blackout time, with the same repetition penalty still in effect. A correct guess won the game, while a miss gave the win to the opposing team. The bonus round was called the clue screen. The object was for one team member to guess 5 subjects within 70 seconds based on the other deciding how many clues to give their partner. The clue giver faced a screen on which the clues were shown, while the guesser was faced away from it. The clock started when the category for the first subject was displayed on the screen and the subject was shown to the clue giver. Up to 6 clues would be shown, one for every 2 seconds. Once the clue giver felt there was enough information on the screen for their partner to guess, he or she would shout, "Solve it!" The guesser then turned to face the screen, read all the clues shown, and was allowed to give just one guess. Bob announced whether the guess was correct or incorrect, and regardless of the result, the guesser turned away from the screen and a new subject was played. The champion won $250 for every correct answer, and if they could get 5 right before time ran out, they won $10,000. Champion contestants remained on the show until they either played the clue screen round 5 times or were defeated in the main game, whatever came first. And that is how Blackout was played. Now we are going to end. Blackout was another creation from game show fan favorite Jay Wolpert that was, unfortunately, another victim of ratings as well as viewer backlash. Anyway, Blackout premiered on CBS on January 4th, 1988 at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. everywhere else, replacing the $25,000 Pyramid with Dick Clark, which had held that time slot for over 5 years. Its competition was the still popular Sale of the Century on NBC. ABC never aired network programs in that hour. And in addition, viewers were upset that CBS had dropped the Pyramid and wrote and called the network to complain. As such, Blackout was not able to find an audience. CBS decided to pull the plug on Blackout on April 1st after its initial 13-week order, and they put the $25,000 Pyramid back on the air the following Monday. Of course, Pyramid would be dropped again by CBS 13 weeks later, this time for good, on July 1st, and an already planned revival of Family Feud, hosted by Ray Combs, premiered the following Monday, July 4th, and it would stay on the iNetwork's daytime schedule until 1993. However, much like Wolpert's other game shows, Blackout was not a bad show. It was an interesting twist on word association games like Password and Pyramid, where their opponents would try to prevent contestants from trying to solve a mystery word by muting the clues. I don't think any game show has done that before or since. Of course, the show had the hallmarks of Jay Wolpert's other game shows, such as an animated intro, and of course, a good sense of humor, as evidenced by the punny puzzles. Plus, the muting of the clues often led to a few chuckles here and there. The clue screen bonus round wasn't anything groundbreaking or special, but it was still fun. It was similar to the puzzles on Password Plus and Super Password, except that they didn't give it the clues verbally. They just needed to let their partner guess the subject by what was showing, and they had to be as quick as possible. As for the host, Bob Goen was by far the perfect choice. I've watched the pilot with Rob Weller, and he did a good job as well, but Bob Goen was the better fit, as he enjoyed talking to the celebrities and the contestants, and he looked to be having a good time. He was also able to perfect his hosting abilities here, and when he took over the daytime Wheel of Fortune a year later, he was already a seasoned pro. Plus, his rapport with the celebrities probably helped him when he became the anchor on Entertainment Tonight. That being said, Blackout was a fun, short-lived game show that was unfortunately a victim of circumstance. If it had aired on another network, in syndication, or on cable, it probably would have lasted longer and probably be better remembered. It had a unique format, a good host in Bob Goen, and a good payout. As such, the grade is a solid A. Now, the part where I talk about how I'd revive the show if I had the chance. I probably wouldn't change too much except for an increase in the prize money. Plus, it probably would not have any returning champions. The game would be played the same as it was in 1988, with the first team to solve 2 puzzles winning the game. Getting a word right would now be worth $500, and solving the puzzle for that round won a prize. Both contestants would keep everything they won in the main game. The clue screen bonus round would be played the same, but every subject solved now won $1,000, and if they could solve 5 in 70 seconds, they would have their cash winnings increased to $30,000. As for host, I'd have Bob Goen if he wanted to do it again. Otherwise, I'd go with someone like Frank Nicotero, Tom Grossi, or the voice of Bender, John DiMaggio. Anyway, that's my most recent episode of 15-Minute Game Show Reviews. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, smash that like button down there, and follow me on Space Hey. I hope to keep making more videos, and I hope you'll all keep watching. Until then, I'm Marty Yitram, and I'm logging out of the Nerd Nest.